Good afternoon, everybody. Let's talk roster churn. The Seahawks were busy in the last few hours making little roster moves to really let us know what kind of team we're going to be looking at when the season starts on Sunday. And I consider it my job to try to report everything that happens with this team in an as up to date fashion as I can. So let's go ahead and get started here and get an idea of what the current roster actually looks like. So, first, injured reserve. We threw a couple players on injured reserve. I already talked about two of the guys who we just put on injured reserve, Colby Parkinson and Trey Brown. And we also have Nigel Warrior on injured reserve. So, to start the day off, let's go ahead and mark them in yellow. We already did with Trey Brown earlier today. I assumed that he was going to be put there, and he has been, to make room for Justin Reed. And Parkinson has been tossed on to make room for Tyler Mabry. Now, we also have to toss on Nigel Warrior, so that leaves us with two injured cornerbacks. And I am Steven Lopez. Welcome to the channel, buddy. Late afternoon subscriptions. Gotta love it. All right, so that informs us somewhat on what kind of team we're actually going to be able to field week one against the Colts. So we have two cornerbacks, right tackle, and a tight end starting the season on injured reserve. Now, Parkinson, Brown, and Warrior can all return after the third game of the season, and that also goes for Cedric Ogbuehi. So, obviously, not having Trey Brown for the first three games is something you're going to feel a little bit because that's one of your rookies that you're really counting on making a positive contribution this year. And with all the issues we've had at cornerback this offseason, Trey Brown being an impact rookie would be huge. So it's not what we wanted to hear, but at this point, it's not really surprising. Other than that, the other guys, obviously, you'd rather have them than not have them, but I think all three of those guys are fairly replaceable. So that gets the roster turn started. We also have John Reed added to the practice squad. I'm sorry, added from the practice squad to the 53-man, which I talked about earlier today. We also had Penny Hart getting the call up. So I thought Penny Hart was going to make the 53-man. He did not, but seems like he's going to be added to the 53-man quite a few times this year. So he gets bumped up for the time being, and yeah, I really expected Penny Hart to have a role in the offense this year, so makes all the sense in the world. Now we have five receivers on the active roster going into this first game of 2021, and yeah, and finally, Blessuan Austin got signed officially, cornerback. He in effect fills in for the injured Nigel Warrior along with John Reed. So we do have five cornerbacks, five outside cornerbacks on the roster right now. So that's a pretty good place to be. I think we can get by without Brown and Warrior for now because we do have a lot of depth out here. And there's also the possibility of Blair being an outside corner. I don't think we see him that way, but he might have the size for it at least. So we've got some clarity on the injury situation. Honestly, as of right now, it doesn't look that bad at all. I think a lot of teams out there would kill for an injury situation as clean as what we have right now, including the team we're going to play this weekend in Indianapolis. All right, so other than that, Mark Vital, the tight end who we signed to the practice squad last week, he was the former Baylor Bear of the basketball team, has been released from the practice squad. So he only got to hang out for about a week. Obviously, didn't get much time to show anything, but not really a surprise that he would quickly get yanked because while I like guys like Mark Vital, I think they have a lot of upside. A huge percentage of the time, they don't realize that upside. Now, I do have some good news here. Gavin Heslop has replaced his spot, and you guys know that I like Gavin Heslop, so very excited to see him brought back into the fold. Hope he can stick around this whole season and one day, be part of the future plans. One day he might get an opportunity to show what he can do in an actual game. So Heslop added to the practice squad. We still have a couple open practice squad spots. And before the end of this video, we may very well get an opportunity to talk about what we did with it. But I really like the fact that we got Heslop back. And I was worried that we weren't going to because there seemed to be a real lack of interest. But that's a guy who I think actually has NFL level upside potentially. All right. So, quick little footnote here as well, because even though this isn't really roster churn, this is still going to be interesting for a lot of people. The Seahawks depth chart, for whatever it's worth, this is not setting anything in stone, lists Freddie Swain as the starting punt returner and DJ Dallas for kickoff returner. So, that's pretty interesting. It's surprising that DJ Reed isn't doing at least one of those things because he was pretty good at it last year. It's possible that we just don't view him as expendable and we view Freddie Swain and DJ Dallas as somewhat expendable because they're fourth string at their respective positions. But for those of you who might have been curious about what we're doing at special teams this year, looks like Freddie Swain's getting punt return duties and DJ Dallas might be getting the kickoffs. That can change very quickly. It could change before week 1, but worth noting, Tom Pelissero comes in hot and heavy with something that is actually really interesting and might even be really exciting. Former Raiders linebacker Tanner Muse is signing with the Seahawks practice squad. Now, Tanner Muse was a third-round pick in 2020. He had 1 year with the Raiders. 1 year with the Raiders, did not play at all. Did not play at all. And then they just let him go. It just wasn't working out. For some reason, they just decided we'd rather move on and eat the third-round pick. And on the one hand, they must have seen something they really didn't like with Tanner Muse in order to just say, forget the third-round pick, we don't need it, we'll just cut him and move on. There must have been something really bad, but Tanner Muse can play football, or at least he could in college. I was watching some tape of him a little earlier after we picked him up, and this guy's all over the field, man. This guy's making plays on the ball. He's got good instincts. He's a hard hitter. He's big. He played safety at Clemson, but he's so big he moved to linebacker in the NFL. But he can play both. I saw him make great plays on the blitz. I saw him make great plays on when the ball was in the air. I saw him catch a lot of passes that were just kind of jump balls, and he would just go up and get it harder than anyone else. This is actually kind of exciting. This is one of those practice squad guys who you can easily see having an NFL future. Bob Condota chimes in saying this fills one of the 2 open practice squad spots, and obviously at a position where depth has been an issue. And that's kind of true. It depends on how you feel about Nick Bellore, but I'm not going to complain about bringing in a guy like Tanner Muse on the practice squad. This is a guy with clear talent. He was a top 100 pick. To get him on your practice squad is a massive coup. And Muse played 84 snaps at middle linebacker in the preseason, and he also played 11 at weak side. So the assumption would be the Seahawks view him as a potential backup at both inside linebacker spots and helping replace the injured BBK. So versatility is the name of the game with this guy. All right, so I'm going to throw him in at will because that's where we have an opening on the practice squad right now. And very excited to have him on board. The dude was a boss at Clemson. So that gets us to 16 roster spots filled on the practice squad. We still have room for one more. I still think it'll probably be Lutton moving to the practice squad after we get Atkins, but time will tell. And that's going to do it for this edition of Roster Churn. We had quite a bit to get through today. Couple of injuries, couple of promotions, couple of practice squad signings. For the most part, I'd say, given the fact that the NFL is a violent game, we can look at this all as being pretty positive. Sorry if you can hear the crazy dog back there. But, yeah. Only missing four backups going into a week 1 game. Pretty good place to be. And I'm really excited about some of these guys we got on the practice squad. Heslop is big, and Muse has the potential to be big as well. So I'm going to put my stamp of approval on this series of roster moves for the Seahawks. What I want to hear next, what I really want to hear next, is Luton gets moved to the practice squad because we now have an open spot there, and Geno Atkins gets brought in. Now, if you want to do that after week 1, that's fine too, because then you non-guarantee Geno's contract potentially. But that would be the move that I want to see next. All right, I'm out of here. Peace out, Go Hawks. Let me know what you think about this slew of moves down below. Unfortunate we're not going to get to see Trey Brown for at least 3 weeks. Also kind of unfortunate about Nigel Warrior as well, because some people were high on him. But on the whole, the team is looking pretty much ready to go for this week 1 game. All right, see you guys later tonight. Peace out, Go Hawks. That's what I got.